CSS has over 500 plus properties, but only a few of them controls 90% of your design. Every beautiful website you have ever seen is built on a few powerful CSS properties. And today, I'm breaking them down for you one by one. Hey everyone, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we're going to look into, CSS properties. We're going to use them, in our last class, we started, or previous classes, we started HTML styles, CSS, which means cascading style sheets, which is used to add, design and beautification to our document, right? And we saw different ways we can actually use CSS in HTML, inline CSS, internal CSS, and what external CSS. And we've seen their differences and where inline CSS function as an attribute, internal CSS function as an element which is declared in the head section, while external CSS is whereby creating a separate CSS file and linking it to our HTML, right? So if you haven't seen any of those videos, please go back and watch it. It's very important. And if you're coming across our page for the first time, you're welcome to Code with Chris. This channel or page is dedicated in teaching web development from scratch for free. So whether you're a total beginner or someone looking to sharpen your skills in web development, this channel is the right channel for you. I urge you to subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever new video drops. And also, don't forget to follow us across other platforms like Facebook and TikTok at the same handle, Code with Chris. All right, so now you're going to know some of these CSS properties, from color, background color, font family, letter spacing, text aligned, font weight, and all of that, right? So now the first thing we're going to do for this class is to create our files. Remember, I said we'll be working more with external CSS. That means we are creating a separate CSS file and also a separate HTML file. So first of all, let's create our HTML file. So right click and then new. Okay, so I'm going to call it demo.html, then enter. All right, so then also create a CSS at this CSS folder. Remember, we created a CSS folder which we have every other CSS file to make our work environment more organized. So just CSS folder, all right, and then right click and then create new. So I will also call it demo.css. So enter. All right, so now let's go back to our HTML. So I'll be explaining most of the CSS properties like color, which is used to set the text color of an element. Background color is used to set background color of an element. Margin is the space outside of an element. The space between it and other element, that is margin. Then padding is the space inside an element. The space between the content and the border. The border and the content, the space, that is what is known as padding. Then we have border as a border around an element. We have width, which is used, width and height, which is used to control the size of an element. We have background image, which is used to add image as a background. We have text align, which is used to control horizontal alignment of inline content like text, inline elements, and inline blocks, right? So it could be valued at left, right, center, and justify. We also have display, which is a property that is used to define how elements behave in the layout, right? and it could be block, it could be inline, it could be inline block, it could be flex. We could flex our item, grid and none also. We have position, which is used to control how an element is placed in the page, right? It could be static, it could be relative, it could be absolute, fixed, or sticky. We also have font size, which is used to change the size of the text, and some units could be px, percent, ram, and the rest of them. We have a font weight, which controls the thickness, that is the boldness of a text. So now we have border radius, which is the curveness or roundness of the edges of our border, of the edges of our elements, right? So now we have box shadow, which has shadow behind an element. We have transition, which adds smooth animation when properties changes. We have opacity, which controls transparency of an element. We have cursor, which change the mouse cursor, and so many others. So we are going to be seeing them one after the other, right? So now let's bring out our boilerplate. All right, so a boilerplate. So after that, okay, let me name this. Let me Okay, so let me name it CSS properties. All right, so first thing to do when working with external CSS is to link it, and which is usually linked using link. All right, so now remember I have CSS folder. So I first of all call the folder CSS, and then inside the folder I have my demo.css. All right, so now let's go ahead and write our code. I can have a header section. All right. All right, so now inside the header, okay, let me have, let's say h1. All right, so h1 CSS properties. And then next I can have a p element. Okay, which are how different um properties work. All right. Okay, so I think what we just, let me run this in our browser. Let's see what we have. Okay. All right, so this is what we have in my browser. So I think let's just write the whole of our HTML content, and then go ahead and start. Right, so okay, let me have another section illustrating box models and the rest of them. So let me have h2. Okay, let me type it manually. right, so let me write box model. So I have another element. Okay, so this is right. Okay, so I can just duplicate this and then change whatever I want to change. So to do that, just highlight and then Alt, Shift, and down arrow as multiple times as you want. All right, so this is it. All right, so now the next, I'll just go ahead and change this to, okay, let's say text. So text and font properties. So this should be a demo for text. So demo for text. And then next is so next is background. Change this to background. All right. So now next is a transition. So transition. Okay, so demo for transition. All right. So now this is the whole of our HTML. So we can just go ahead and let's check our browser and see what we have. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, so we can see what we have. So what we just need to do now is to just go ahead and style it. All right, so let me give class names to important those that needs class name, elements that needs class name. So for this, I give it a class, maybe title. All right, so class. Okay, so let me call it box model. All right, then this p let me give it a class. Okay, you can call it demo box. All right, so the next section for text, let me give it a class. Okay, so I can call it text section. The p element inside. Okay, so let me give it a class. I can call it. All right, so now the next class, I can call it background section. All right, so the p element inside this particular section, I can give it a class of demo. Okay, let's say demo. All right, so now the next one, I give it a class. Let me give it a class of trans. Okay, you know what? Let's change this p to button. Let's make it a button. So button instead of p elements. So let's make it a button and then give it a class name. So class, you can say trans btn, trans button. All right. Okay, so let's see our browser. All right, so this is what we have. So let's go back to our code and then go ahead and style. So we just have to remember the class names we gave to them. All right, so because we're going to be referencing it, so go back to just go to your CSS file, and then we can give them a general style using the head, which is serving as a container that has all of our contents. So I can give it a font family, a general font family of maybe sans serif. Sans serif. All right, so now if we go to our browser, we have this. Now if you notice, you see that there is a margin by default, of course, because of the because of the element type. By default there's a margin, especially block level elements. Our browser gives it a margin, this margin top, margin left, right and bottom, right? So we can actually remove it so that we can be able to assign our own desired margin. All right, so if I say margin, keep it as the initial margin will be 0. So if I go to our browser, you can see there is no longer margin, right? Let me refresh. You can see there's no margin, right? There's no margin left and all of that. So now I can go ahead and give it a padding. Use a general padding. So padding of 20px. All right, so I go to my browser. If I refresh, all right, so you can see what we have. Imagine a padding of 20px. This padding is serving as both top, bottom, left and right, right? So I can give it a background. So background or background color. Okay, let me use a color value ash f3, f4, f6. Also let me give it a color a lighter black. So we're going to use a color value hash 111827. So go back to my browser. If I okay, so see what we have. All right, so now next I'm going to style is the head. All right, so I'll style it with the element name, so header, and then you can say text align should be at the center, and then let me give it a margin. Of course, margin itself is a space outside of an element, so let me give the margin bottom, which is the space outside of that element at the bottom. Give it a 40 px. Okay, so okay, you can see what we have. All right, so now next inside here I have h1, right? I have h1. If you are going with element name, every other element that has that same 2 times, that means that style will apply for all that element, right? So let me increase the size, the font size. So font size, okay, let me give it a 32 px, right? And then also give it a margin bottom. Okay, let me give it 10 px. So go back to our browser. Okay, let me refresh. It's quite taking time to load. All right, so this is what we have. Okay, so now, so let me go back and see my, okay, so next is title. So title as a class name. So let me copy this, and then after title we have a next section. Okay, so dot title, which is a class name. For class name is dot, for id name is hash. All right, so let me increase the text size. So font size 18 px. Then let me give it a color, text color. Okay, so 6b7 280. Okay, so if I go to my browser, all right, so I have this. Okay, so this is what I have. So let's go back, and then next is the box model. So dot box model, and you can also style the element inside all at once, which is what box model and dot demo box. So demo box. Okay, background color. Okay, 2F6. And 3B8 to F6. Okay, so let me give it a color of white, the text color now. Alright, so go to my browser. Okay, so this is what we have. Alright, so now I think I'm going to stop here because the video is getting too long. I don't want my video to be more than 20 something minutes, right? So we are going to have part 2 for this particular class. All right, so anticipate, and if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe and also follow. Don't forget to drop down your comments wherever you are confused or stuck. Comment, bring in your comments, right? So thank you for watching. Bye.